It's sort of like the Bledisloe Cup for women's cricket.
You know, it's bloody hard.
They were always bringing the big trophy across the Tasman every year, carrying the big box across, and I don't think ever for a moment thinking that they wouldn't be taking it back.
Great summer of women's cricket began in mid-January when the New Zealand team went 1-up over Australia in the Shell Rose Bowl series. They beat the Aussies at Eden Park in the first one-day match.
Well, so obviously we've got a chance to win the series here today, and you know, having that first win was just such a big boost for us.
It's given you really an edge over the Australians, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, we've won our last 3 games against them now, and that's something that we're quite proud of, and you know, hopefully we'll make it 4 today.
They are rebuilding. They have got a much older team than New Zealand, and maybe they now really rate us as opposition because it hasn't always been that way.
Now, what about some up-and-coming stars within this New Zealand team? Emily Drum obviously comes to mind.
Oh yes, and we've got Maya Lewis. She's a triple international for New Zealand. Sarah McLaughlin, but we've actually got a good bunch of young players coming through, and there's quite a few people underneath them waiting to get in as well. So it's pretty healthy.
160 is a reasonable total. I think we would have liked a few more runs because we know how good the side is that we're playing.
Is it a defendable total, do you think?
It is defendable, but when you hear cheers in the background, you wonder.
Australia have led the series of Ramadan. That is now down to the base reserve on Saturday, Australia in the Shell Rose Bowl series.
The decider at the Basin Reserve didn't begin promisingly for New Zealand. They lost early wickets, including Anderson and Hockley. But then recall batter Kirsty Bond and first match star Emily Drum came to the rescue. Both scored splendid half-centuries to give New Zealand a very competitive total. The Australians chased hard, and it wasn't until the last over that the Kiwis clinched victory. The Shell Rose Bowl, won by New Zealand for the first time since 1987.
First time that we got our hands on the Rose Bowl since you know, that 87-88 season, and just absolute sheer joy and celebration with your teammates for something that you know, had really wanted for a long period of time, you'd worked hard for, and just, to me, it's always the teamness. And, you know, and there was a wonderful photo that was taken on the Basin, just the sense of achievement, and it's just euphoria, actually. Just feeling thrilled.
You know, I was just surrounded by some greats of the game: Debbie Hockley, Emily Drum, Katrina Withers, Catherine Campbell. I just remember how important the Rose Bowl was to the White Ferns. As a Kiwi, growing up and watching our fierce games against Australia in any sport, it's sort of like the Bledisloe Cup for women's cricket, and it was treated like that. So I knew the significance, I knew the importance. I knew as a player leading in how desperate we were to win it back. I think my first runs for New Zealand was a leave that came back off Catherine bowling, and it went through the slips for 4. And I remember, I think I was batting with Rosie at the time, Rebecca Rolls, and she said, "Oh, what was that?" And I was like, "That was the Timaru Lake cut." You know, I had to pretend that I sort of felt like I knew what I was doing.
For me, a very special time because I got the chance to captain the team again.
It was awesome. It was my first 2 games for New Zealand to play against Australia, and we won both of them. And just, for me, that was just awesome.
To be able to win with, say, 20 runs to spare was very cool, and again, amazing feeling. And one of my abiding memories, which will stick with me for life, is the little upstairs changing room of Fitzherbert Park. I mean, look, not particularly glamorous, but, and Shrimpo was our coach then, Mike Shrimpton, and somehow we had got, I think it probably started with someone like Helen Watson and the Canterbury team. If you could read my mind, like Stars on 54, I think, we almost had it as a bit of an anthem, and I remember blasting that song up in the upstairs changing room, and all of us were just in there, and Shrimpo was there as well, and it's those sorts of things that I remember those in my life as the result of our team effort to come away with the win, and yeah, very happy memory.
Yeah, look, I can remember those scenes in that changing room like they were yesterday.
Yeah, the celebrations. I remember that the most, you know, the fun. I don't even know who was leading the dancing, but we were playing cricket shots, dancing to some cool song at the time, and just everyone just enjoying the moment and soaking it up. And that was, you know, let's really enjoy this, because, you know, we don't get our hands on the Rose Bowl that often.
Katrina Keenan, she was Katrina Withers, you know, very extroverted, great with music. Heidi herself, as a young person, they were to the fore of that, and then, you know, 2 or 3 more reserved people in the team, but again, everyone joined in, and Shrimpo himself, you know, that was not something he'd ever experienced before in his coaching career, and I think at that point he thought, okay, this is a pretty special group.
Well, you can imagine for a male coach taking on a female team, and, you know, prior to that, Dale Hadley had been involved. There weren't a lot of coaches, but it probably wouldn't have been on many men's coaches' wish list to be coaching a team, but he could see the potential. He could see the passion that the athletes had for the game, and he wanted to work with that, and that people would ask questions, and he loved that. And he did a lot of that for the guys as well, but he found with the women athletes that they would often come to him and ask for extra sessions, and he was so obliging. But that was a big tick of approval for him, winning that at Fitzherbert Park. That was massive, not only for the team, but for Mike, for Chris Doig, and for that whole regime of getting ready and prepared to host the 2000 World Cup.
Captaining New Zealand on 2 of the 3 occasions where we've won the Rose Bowl was something I'm really proud of, and it's a real thrill for me to look back on that, because it's, you know, it's bloody hard. I don't have a lot of mementos, but this is the ball that played in that second match that we won, so I'll always keep this, because this will be a memento for me of the last Rose Bowl series that was won. I was captain as well, so someone flicked me the ball, and I know it's probably completely illegal, but seriously, would you use it for any other game anyway? So yeah, happy days.
That introduction was so positive, and then we were shot down to reality, as the Aussies do best, by bowling us out for 61 and at the Basin. So welcome to international cricket, and welcome to the Rose Bowl.
There's nothing I can say about it other than it was a bit of a shocker. New Zealand has not won the majority of the series that we've played over the period of time. In fact, we've only won 3 and not one for a very long time. So the wins that you have, whether it's a series or even a match, are actually really special.
You know, I was lucky enough to play with those experienced, those greats of the game, to pass those memories on. And, you know, Catherine Campbell, a great storyteller, Debbie Hockley, Emily Drum, you know, they definitely kept the Rose Bowl motivation and importance alive. And so we always looked forward to those games. Players talked about it a lot when the fixture was coming up. Coaches, the significance of the Rose Bowl was certainly etched very much in our brains, and we look forward to it every year. You know, that's how it should be too. The Rose Bowl should be played every year, and, you know, we thoroughly enjoyed, you know, battling against them, and I know Australia did as well. You know, it was an important fixture for them as well.
I think it's the togetherness and the not giving up and the gutsiness and doing it for each other. That's what I think. And the absolute thrill when you do win, that you're sharing it with this group of people and you're like one. That's the best way I can describe it, is you're that whole team element and the feeling that you get when you have realised what your hard work's been for and what your dreams are. And you also, what's really important is that you realise that the other side, being this Australians, they're not infallible. And that's why it's really important to have wins every now and then, so that you know that they are not unreachable.